Okay. The purpose of this video is to show how to join on the very first of the, well, actually it'd be the second setup row, but the very beginning of the hat. This is representing a hat that would be done without a band first. This is a chain followed by single crochets in each chain to form the first setup row, which is simply single crochet. In order to join, at this point, if you were actually making a hat, you would count the stitches now and make sure you have the exact number necessary in order to make the number of pattern repeats that are going to be in your hat. This is, I guess I was using this one. Yes, okay. Guess it doesn't matter. Okay, in order to join, you simply make a loop with your contrast color. This is my main color, contrast color. Pull that through. Oh, actually, here. Let's go this way. Now pull it through. Okay. Snug that down a little bit. Okay, now you want to take the other color, your main color, and wrap it under and over all the way around the other yarn. And you need to bring it around and maybe kind of hold it there with your fingers in order to secure the new yarn. Because what you need to do is go back into the top loop there, back down into the stitch, separate the tail end from the working yarn, and then pull up a loop and draw it through the stitch and the top loop. So you have 2 stitches on your hook. Okay. This is a little bit loose. On this very first one, you can take that tail and snug it down. Not too tight, but just snug. And then you just yarn over and pull through both loops. And you have made a chain, or a single crochet without a chain. And then you would continue for this round, going all the way around and doing back loop only, single crochet. And that would complete your setup round for that type of beginning for a hat. If you make a band first, any type of band would be fine. It just needs to have the number of rows that are necessary, or stitches, depending on the type of band, in order to have enough stitches to accommodate the number of pattern repeats. Okay, I want to show you how I go. This is back loop only single crochet, kind of messy. It was just a quick demonstration. I want to show you how I go into the stitch on these edges. Instead of going into this hole, which I'll show you, looks messy and makes the hole more obvious. Instead of going in there, I go into the top, kind of right into the middle, saying it just looks like it fits. And then for the next one, instead of going into there, I go into under the top 2 loops and complete a single crochet. And I just did that all the way around. When you get to this point, you would want to count your stitches and make sure that you have enough stitches for your pattern repeats. Okay? If you counted, with this one, actually, this is a chain, and it will look just fine if you need to use that. If you miscounted and you need to use that as a stitch, fine. Or if you didn't count it, everything turned out right, it looks fine that way too. However, we are showing you how to join the second color now. So we're going to go under these 2 loops, because it doesn't really matter. And we'll get our contrast color. And make a loop, pull it up through both the stitch and the top loops. You're right in the middle, and now you have the contrast color, or the main color. Bring it over and around the contrast color, and then I found that it works pretty well if I kind of hold everything with my left hand. Okay, whoops. I need to pull this back out. I made it too small. Too much tugging and manipulating. Okay. So now I'm going to go right back into the top loop, down into the stitch. Separate these, the tail from the working yarn. Bring it up through. Okay. Bring it up through. Pull on the tail to make it nice and neat. And then you would go into your next stitch and go on all the way around and working in the back loops to complete your second setup round. Okay, that's setup round on a band and setup round, 2 setup rounds without doing a band first. Okay, then when you have completed your setup rounds and you get to the first join, this is how you join for all of the rest of the rounds. Every time you come around and need to join, you go under those 2 loops of that kind of weird, wonky single crochet that didn't have a chain. This one's pulled out because I've done many failed videos with this yarn, so it's already pulled out. It won't normally be that way. It will normally look like that, and you need to go underneath just those top 2 to do your stitch. Okay, so you're or ending off this yarn, the contrast color, and you want to pick up your main color. So you bring the yarn to be ended off under the hook, but over the main color. First step is to yarn over and pull through the stitch and that top loop. Okay? You're only partway done. Now you need to bring the ending color back over the top of the other yarn. You can hold it over here or whatever. And you're going to go right back down into the top loop and the stitch, yarn over, pull through. Now you have 2 loops on the hook. And you can let go of this one. The purpose of doing that wrapping is to secure the new yarn so that you can do this single crochet without a chain first. Okay, now this looks a little messy, and you'll find when you first start doing this it'll be even more messy. You just kind of tug on this just gently till that snugs up, and then you can pull your new yarn, and then all you do is yarn over and complete your first single crochet. However, this particular pattern is going to call for, on this very first round, a double crochet in the very first stitch of the round. Now to do this, I normally would get the next smaller sized hook to complete this. And for a first double crochet of a round, it's the only time you will go through, you yarn over, like for any crochet, double crochet, you go into this front loop of the round 2 rows below, which is always going to be the same color as the yarn you're working, and then you'll see that this might pull up and kind of, you'll see messiness down here, and I like to grab another bit down there just for this very first stitch, and you pull it through. Now you've pulled it through both of those, and now you just complete a single crochet the normal way. Okay, and we'll do a couple of back loops, and then I'll show you a regular single crochet or double crochet. So you go in from the bottom normally, and I'm going to do 2 in a row. Sometimes the pattern will call for that, and I want to show you that behind the double crochet stitches, you're going to have 2 stitches that you're not going to work into. When you do the next stitch, you need to go there. Okay? Now, in this video, just because it's so important, I'm going to show you also single crochet, invisible single crochet decrease. This is a normal single crochet decrease, like you'll see on, what's normally in patterns. But I find it too messy for my hats. It doesn't really look like the other stitches. So I do the invisible one, which means I go into the first stitch, pull up a loop, go into the second stitch, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the other 2 stitches. And I end up with a stitch that looks very much like my other stitches. Makes the hat look nicer. I'll do another one. There. So there are 2 invisible single crochet decreases. I'm going to take those out so I have more room. Okay, now I want to show a double crochet decrease. This is normal double crochet decrease. And if you need it slow, you can look at videos on YouTube. Okay, they have it explained and all that stuff. I'm doing it to show that this is a double crochet decrease. It still has 2 stitches behind it, even though it's decreased down to 1. You do not use, here, put this up. You do not use the stitch even though it's, if you pull this over, your stitch count will get off. You do these decreases when you're doing the crown of the hat. So you don't use that one. You can kind of look behind there and you know when you do a decrease, you need to skip those 2 stitches, and your next stitch would be in 2, and so on. Okay? So, this is information about how to begin a hat, and since the video still seems to be working, we're going to go for it and see if we can finally get one that shows how, having technical difficulties here with the power strip. Okay, there. Okay, this hat was done with no band to beginning. I think I did foundation single crochet for the first setup round, and then the back loop single crochet for the second one. Okay, it is at the point now where it's needs to be decreased for the crown of the hat. And this very first row here, or the last row of that's been done, it's the first row of the decreases of the crown. And this pattern is a 8 stitch repeat. Here is stitch 1. This is stitch 8. Down and down. And this pattern called for a double crochet decrease in stitches 4 and 5, which was right in the middle of the repeat, was very easy to do. However, the pattern now calls for a double crochet decrease in 1 and 8. Well, that's going to be easy to do when you get to this one, but it's not going to be easy to do here. And it's actually not 1 and 8, it's 1 and 7, because we started with 8 stitches. In this row there were 8 stitches from here to here. This row now, after this decrease, there's only 7. So it would be calling for 1 and 7. However, instead of doing that, because it's nigh on to impossible to make one double crochet decrease in these 2 stitches, the first one of the round and the last one, I need to move my stitch count over. And I tried, whoops, wrong thing. This has already been joined the normal way. Tried slip stitching over, and it just looked messy. So this is what I came up with. I just showed you a single crochet decrease. Well, this is what I do in order to move the stitch over. I go down into the stitch. This yarn is really thick at this point. Okay. And I have 2 loops on the hook. But instead of yarning over and completing my single crochet, I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, and bring that loop through the other 2 stitches. Okay. Now, this stitch is over this one. It's now stitch 1 of the pattern repeat. And everything the rest of the way around the hat is moved over 1. So this is stitch 1. This is 2, 3, and right in the top of the decrease that was 4 and 5, 4 and 5, and the pattern calls for a double crochet decrease in 6 and 7. So, and there I have 2 stitches that I need to skip. I don't go into here, I go here for 1, 2, 3, again on the top of that one, 4, 5, and then a double crochet decrease in 6 and 7. And again, I would skip the 2 stitches behind and begin 1 here again. Okay, and now that I have done that decrease, I have now 6 stitches in the pattern repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that will be all the way around. And when I get around to here, I will do my single crochet or double crochet decrease here, and I will just join it the normal way using those 2 loops. So I think that was everything to make it so that the pattern for this hat, when it's done, will be understandable. I think I also used the beginning single crochet decrease to move the stitches over in another pattern, but I don't remember which one it was.